Hello and welcome. Welcome to our first Love Live session. And we're not live. No, we're not. It's a pre-recorded session. And I have fully chosen to pre-record this session because I feel that I really need to talk to you about my personal journey. And I am feeling a little bit vulnerable in being self-conscious and aware of people popping on live and saying hello and yeah, not wanting to get kind of too caught up in my head with stuff. So I'm pre-recording. We'll do the live next time. So I wanted to share with you, as I said, my personal story with self-love and why I am so passionate about teaching self-love to others, about encouraging others to love themselves deeply and genuinely. And the short story of it is that being I grew up learning to not be happy with who I was, learning that I wasn't good enough, learning that I wasn't what everybody else wanted me to be, learning that I just wasn't good enough, which you turn around and you put onto yourself, and it develops such a distinct program of self-loathing, and although you live your life and it can be beautiful at times, the default program when things go wrong is always that self-loathing, and you begin to attack yourself and be incredibly harsh and mean and horrible to yourself. And that is the cruelest thing you can do to yourself, is be bad to you. So with self-love, my journey with self-love began in 2014, and it really hit home when things seemed to be going quite wrong. It really just clicked in that I had to be what I wanted from others. I had to be that for myself. So what I wanted, I had to give myself. And realizing that I was so hard on myself, so mean to myself, I realized the only way to rectify that was to love myself. That at the end of the day, it did not matter what anybody thought, what anybody said. None of it mattered. What really matters is what I feel for myself. And so the journey of self-love began. So I taught myself to be loving towards me. I taught myself to love who I am. And I taught myself how to love my being, because that's the gift that I needed to give to myself. And it's not something that you can get from anybody else. When you're not so genuinely loving of yourself, it's really hard to accept that from other people in its fullest capacity, yeah? So, yeah, 2014, the self-love journey began, and I just wanted to read you a little bit of what of my journal when I began that self-love journey. And it says, the self-love journey, a journey dedicated to finding, embracing, and accepting a love of thyself, a love of each and every day, first and foremost for me, for my family, and then for the universe. As my greatest critic, a love of myself is as rare as me finding a nautilus shell washed upon our shores. And this has always been my truth. And it truly was my truth up until the time that I dedicated to self-love. It is now the time to unearth a deep and profound love for me and to reveal all that I love, all that I truly am. And buckle up, baby, as it's sure to be one bumpy ride. And of course it is. When you're truly in the truth of every moment, the truth of living life through its cycles, you know that it's not always going to be rainbows and sparkles, and love is not always going to be there. And I began and dedicated my life to self-love in 2014, and dedicated it so deeply and profoundly. It was my intention. It was my intention, my powerful intention, to be self-loving, to develop that and to honor myself in that way. And yet I still to this very day have moments. Yes, they are so much fewer and farther in between, but I still have moments of doubt. I still have moments where I can catch myself and go, whoa, hang on a minute, that's not very self-loving of you today, Jem. Let's go fix that. Yeah. So it's not a complete turnaround where all of a sudden you will sit in the spirit and the essence of self-love, and that is who you are 100% of the time. You have to know that in the spirit of being raw and real, we go through, our emotions are up and down and in and out and around and around and around and squared, and it's the journey of life itself is not a constant way of feeling one particular way. We are such divine emotional beings that we have to experience them all. And developing self-love is, I guess, shores you up. It shores you up for being able to move through the emotions no matter what they are, knowing that you will come out the other side, trusting in the emotions, trusting that you need to be experiencing, this particular moment of distress, and, for it to be the facilitation of growing, taller in the self-love tree, or, growing those roots down firmer into the essence of self-love. It's about expansion, and, yeah, it's just self-love is something that is missing so much within our lives. Genuine self-love. And I say genuine because I can hear people going, self-love, it's very selfish. It's selfish. You're putting yourself first and you're thinking of yourself before all others, and accrediting it to being egotistical, I guess. And it simply isn't. Not unless you allow it to be. So there's this, I love myself so much that I'm going to, I'm bigger and better than everybody. That is not what true, genuine self-love is about. Self-love is about honoring yourself, loving your entire body just as it is, loving your thoughts, your emotions, your crazy little quirks, your gorgeousness, your ugly crying, just loving your divine essence, yeah, for exactly what it is, and not not thinking or feeling that you should be anything else other than what you are right now. So, this genuine self love is looking after yourself, is nurturing and nourishing yourself. And in particular, as moms, it's easy for us to get lost in the whole, wife and mother and, cleaner of the house and, all the jobs that mums fall under. It's easy to lose ourself and our time. And being self-loving is a way to ensure that you don't get burnt out, that you are able to take the time to give yourself what you need for your wellness, so that then you are extending yourself in a greater compassionate, loving, kind way to others, to your family. Because if you don't have that time to be self-loving for you, then what you're offering to your family, for example, just staying with the mother analogy there, what you're offering to everybody else is not your full loving expression. Yeah? So if you're feeling run down, your full loving expression is not there to be given. Yeah? So taking the time to really connect with yourself and to develop self-loving ways to nourish and nurture your heart, your soul, your spirit, your body in ways that lift you up can only ripple out to those around you in a much more loving way, in a much more kind way, in a compassionate way, and in a genuine connecting way. Yeah. So that's just a little bit about me and a little bit about how I feel about self-love. And as I said at the start, I really am really passionate about self-love and passionate in raising the spirit of others and the vibration of others to value themselves so much more, because there was once a time that I didn't, and I know what that feels like. It's tremendously painful, and coming home to the essence and the spirit of love, of loving myself, of who I am, was not only the best gift that I could have given myself and my family, but it was like a return to home, returning to the divine essence and spirit of love is like sinking into your body and knowing and accepting that that you are perfectly divinely designed to be here in this lifetime, experiencing this life exactly as you are. And there's no need to be critical of it. There's no need to be so hard on yourself. There's no need to be self-loathing or, to be mean or cruel to yourself. Love, self-love is what will raise you up and lift your experience of yourself and your life and the connections and your experience with family and friends and others. Self-love is the key It is the key, totally. Going to leave it there. Thank you so much for listening, for joining in and listening. If you have any comments or any questions, please leave them below, write them below, and I'll get back to them as soon as possible. Love you.